All right, I'm going to start off reading some verses here, and then we're going to drive, talk about them, get to the gym. So in Romans chapter 6, verse 12 through 14, it says, "Let not sin therefore reign in your mortal body to make you obey its passions. Do not present your members to sin as instruments for unrighteousness, but present yourselves to God as those who have been brought from death to life, and your members to God as instruments for righteousness." Verse 14, probably the most important here. "For sin will have no dominion over you, since you are not under law, but under grace." So I'm going to try to keep this short because I feel like it's super easy to ramble when talking about these verses. But I think as Christians, one of the most important things that we need to realize is that before we came to Christ, a lot of us likes to say that we were losing the battle, but in reality, there was no battle. There was no battle against the flesh and sin. So we had already lost. But it's when we come to Christ that we now enter this battle against sin and against the world, because we realize how opposed to God our life has been. Because if you are not with God, or what you do is not with God, you are inherently opposed to God. So when it comes to sin, one of the most, I think, liberating things God has ever, revealed to me was that it is the same Spirit that rose Christ from the dead that lives in us. And it's that same Spirit, through what Christ did on the cross, that defeated sin on the cross. And when Jesus resurrected, way before we were ever born, right? He freed us from the slavery of sin. Now, I think that is obviously not going to make us perfect. Just because we come to Christ doesn't mean we'll never sin again. But we now have the decision to never sin again, because we have the power to not sin again. That's the thing, because it's the Spirit of Christ, the same one that defeated sin on the cross, that now lives in us. That same power we have access to. But why do we keep on sinning then? It's the worst part, unfortunately. Once we all realize it, we're still human. And in reality, it's because we still choose to sin. Because true freedom from sin is only freedom if you have the ability to go back to the sin. So, yes, God has freed us from the shackles, from the bondage, it says in some translations, of sin. But we can go put those shackles back on. And as Christians, we need to remember that it's not from us trying harder that we will stop a sin, or from us locking in, or however else we want to think about it. It really comes down to how close are we with God, and how much are we living in the Spirit? Because ultimately, sin, although it manifests itself in a fleshly way, right? Like how Romans was saying, like with the members of our body, things that we see, things that we think, or whatever. Sin is ultimately a spiritual thing. And we cannot go into a spiritual thing trying harder physically to resist it. We have to submit to the Spirit of Christ, the Spirit of God within us, and that will give us the power to fight a spiritual battle, and that is overcoming the sin in our lives. Because Christ has already freed us from it. And I think a lot of people don't realize that you're actually already free from the sin that you keep on doing. The reason we keep on doing it is, really, because I want to. And I know a lot of people don't like accepting the fact that they're sinners, that they're continually sinners, or all this stuff. But it doesn't matter. I mean, Paul wrote, where sin abounds, grace abounds more, right? So the more now it's not a ticket to go and sin, just because the more I sin, the more God has grace over. That's not a free ticket to go and sin, because just because there's unlimited access to the grace of God doesn't mean I can go do whatever I want and then expect Him to forgive me. Yes, God's grace knows no bounds, but we have to be intentional with how we live our lives, and we have to be intentional with how we want or how we seek His forgiveness too. Because if you are one of the Sunday Christians where you just go to church and then you live however it is that you want during the week, and on Sunday you come back and you ask for forgiveness, it's not genuine forgiveness that you're seeking, because if there's genuine forgiveness if it's genuine forgiveness that you're seeking, there should be change, not you continually living in the same cycle. And people say, well, I just can't, or I just whatever, right? And again, you have to get yourself out of the way to give space for God to work in your life. It's raining a lot out of nowhere. It's halfway through June in Idaho. I don't know why it's pouring right now. But you have to give room in your life for God to actually remove that sin. So I think a lot of us get obsessed with the idea that, even if I had a horrible week, God's going to forgive me, whatever. But there's never actually any change that happens. But you need to ask yourself, did I submit more to God? Did I seek Him? Did I actually pray this week? Did I actually read the Bible this week? Did I actually, spend time with Him this week and to allow Him to change me, right? So the point of this whole, rant and wanting to talk about these verses is that we're no longer slaves. We don't have to sin. The reason why we keep on sinning is, quite frankly, just because we want to, all right? So if you ever get tired of continually finding yourself in this sin or this thing that you're addicted, the chains have already been broken. They've been broken long before we were ever born. So if you're ever worried about it, you pray to God, and He will remind you that the bondage of that sin over your life has already been broken, because up to the very last drop of blood shed by Christ on the cross, we have been freed. And that is why the gospel is good news. Obviously, we're saved and we're reconciled with God the Father and we'll have everlasting life. But it's because in this life, we're no longer slaves to sin. But again, we have to have the freedom to go back to choose it, or else we're not really freed. So this rainy Saturday morning in Nampa, Idaho, I encourage you guys to live freely, because you are. We are free from sin. Crazy enough, we're not free from attacks from the enemy. We're not free from all that stuff. All that stuff will still happen. Sin is very much around us. The influence of this world is very much around us. But we do not have to live like slaves anymore. Live free and live forgiven, because you are. So with that, I'm going to transition to workout for the day. I'm going to a different gym today, meeting up with one of my good longtime friends, Dylan, and we're going to be hitting legs at his gym. I've worked at his gym once. It's like a strongman gym, and I love the vibe of that gym. Ronnie Coleman, it's Berserker. I mean, it's like a chain franchise gym, but I love the vibe of it. It's totally a strongman, kind of like torn down equipment, all that stuff, which is perfect for a leg day, which is exactly what we got. So I don't think it was the squats last time that tweaked my back, and I wasn't really going that heavy. I felt like I could have gone heavier still. So I'm not exactly sure what that was all about, but all I know is that we're going to get in the gym. We're going to have a great workout. We're going to destroy the legs to start off the weekend. That way I don't have to worry about doing it tomorrow or Monday. So, yeah. Plan is a barbaric lift. So, I don't really know this week my split got a little bit wonky because I had to skip a day because my back was killing me and all that stuff. So, but we're back. Tomorrow should be a back day. Primarily spam the heck out of arms, and yeah, we'll see you guys when we get to the gym. All right, guys, so I had to cut that workout short. I was not feeling good. I got like super nauseous. I don't know what exactly happened, but I was literally seeing colors for a while there. So we ended up not doing legs, we ended up doing back. We were gonna hit some biceps, but again, like I don't know. I don't think I've ever felt like that during a workout. It could just be yesterday I'd only slept 3 hours, and then I had a almost 24-hour day, almost 24 hours with no sleep. So yesterday, I mean, I was just pretty dang exhausted in general, and then today I woke up pretty early for the workout. So not ideal, and like, yeah, they're kind of excuses, but I feel like this one's kind of valid. I was literally about to pass out in the gym. I don't know if Dylan was able to get some clips of me there. So as for this video, I kind of want to try something different, making like a montage of the gym clips themselves, just with like some background music. So we're gonna see how it comes out. But yeah, so legs will be tomorrow. I'm thinking of hitting up one of my other friends. He also is making videos, Anthony. So I'm gonna see if he wants to get a just diabolical leg day, because I kind of been putting it off hitting legs with him, because I know I'm probably not gonna walk for 4 or 5 days after. So I'll get my walker ready, I'll get my wheelchair ready, and I'll hit him up and see if he's down to just destroy legs. If not, I'll just do it by myself. But yeah, plan for the rest of the day, chill, rest, get everything locked in, and I think I have a clear vision of kind of where I want to go with all of this moving forward. So for all, you few people that have been watching, I appreciate it. Make sure to share, hit like, subscribe, all that stuff if you're not already. One person at a time goes a long way, and the fact that some of my views have even gotten some of my videos have even gotten like 10 views, I think it's a lot. I mean, 10 people, it's like, if you're presenting a project or whatever, there's 10 people there, I feel like that's a pretty good little audience. So it's the way I kind of think about it, is like, what if these 10 people were just sitting at the gym watching me work out? I mean, it'd be a little weird in person maybe, but the concept is pretty cool. So if you've been watching and if you've liked or whatever, just know I appreciate it. And I'm not doing it for the viewers, the subscribers and everything. Obviously that'd be a big plus if people want to tune in, but it's to build more spiritual discipline, more physical discipline in the gym and all that stuff, and hold myself accountable, but just document the journey. Because again, I consider myself a very regular guy with very regular or dang near very poor genetics. I don't know, you guys tell me, do Guatemalans have good gym genetics? So I feel like if I can get in shape, and really get everything locked in and feel like, in my perspective, look good in that regard, then I feel like anyone else can. So I mean, again, I think it's kind of an interesting spot, because I feel like whenever people start making videos, they're like yoked and just absolutely, already massive, and they build videos, or they build a channel, whatever, like that, because people are watching them because they're big, whatever. But I think that I have good experience in the gym. Obviously, I'm not like, 185 at 5% body fat or anything crazy like that, but I think I have a good experience with lifts. I think I have a good knowledge of anatomy, applied anatomy, and all that stuff. So I think it makes for a unique experience, where I think people can join the journey right now, and they can see where consistency, discipline, with some motivation sprinkled in there goes. So yeah, we'll see you guys for the next one.